We're going to focus on place value subtraction. This has some similar steps to when we did place value addition, except now each of those steps, instead of saying add, we'll say subtract. So this is how we'll start that off. For place value subtraction, first you're going to line up your numbers correctly. And remember, you can use the pencil trick to check that you did that. And then you start at the ones column and subtract. You might have to regroup. And then you'll move to the tens column to subtract. And then you'll move to the hundreds column to subtract. And then the last step for this is I'm going to teach you how to check your answer by adding it back up. Alright, so step one is line up the numbers correctly. So I have 264 minus 271. I'll line those up on top of each other so that I can easily subtract. I'm sorry, I think I said 264 before. We have 364 minus 271. Alright, so I have 364 minus 271, and I'm going to use that pencil trick to make sure they're lined up, all the columns are lined up properly. I put the pencil on my ones column, and it covers those two numbers without covering anything else. I am all set on the ones. Now I move to the tens column. It covers all the numbers in the tens column without covering anything else. I'm all set, and now I'll check the hundreds, and I'm all set there too. I am ready to subtract. I will start by subtracting over in the ones column. That's on this far side. And I have 4 minus 1, and my answer to that is 3. Okay, I do not need to regroup anything to get that because 4 is bigger than 1. Now let me move over to the tens column. I have 6 minus 7. 7 is bigger than 6. 6 is smaller than 7. So I can't take 7 away from 6. I'll need to regroup in order to get numbers I can use. To regroup, I'm going to take from over here in the hundreds column. So I'll take 1 and I'll cross out this 3, change it to a 2. That 1 is going to move over here. So then I'm going to cross out my 6 and make that 16. Here, I'll show you. Okay, so right here you can see how I regroup. I took from right here, took one group from my hundreds, and I moved it over to my tens column. That made it so I had to cross out the 3 because I took 1, so I made it into a 2. And then I had to cross out the 6 because that 1 moved over here, and I made it a 16. Now I have 16 minus 7. That's going to give me 9. And now I can go over to my hundreds column. Since I crossed that out and was left with 2, now I have 2 minus 2, and that's just going to be a 0, so I'll leave that blank here. Now we can go to this last step where you add to check your answer. When I add to check my answer, I'm going to take my answer plus the number I was subtracting and see if they equal the number from which I subtracted. So in this case I'll do 93 plus 271, and I'll see if I get an answer of 364. Let me go ahead and rewrite those so you can see. Okay, so I used the arrows here to kind of show you that I moved my 93 over here to be added, and I moved my 271 to be added. Now let me start adding together by starting in the tens column. 1 plus 3 will give me 4. Nine plus 7 is going to give me 16. So I'll write my 6 and carry the 1. And now I have 1 plus 2, and that will give me 3. And now I ended up with my answer of 364. That was the same as the number with which I started. So I know that that is correct. Let me try one more of these so you can see how this works. I have 890 minus 765. I'll start by rewriting these so that the numbers are on top of each other. Okay, I rewrote it and my numbers are lined up properly. I have 0 minus 5. I can't take anything away from 0. So I'm going to have to regroup. I'll take a set from the tens column and move it over here to the ones column. That will make it so that I take 1 from here, so that'll be an 8 in the tens column, and I'll add the 1 over here, so that'll be a 10 over here in the ones column. Okay, here's that set of 10 I added. Now I have 10 minus 5, and 10 minus 5 will give me 5. Right here, I have 8 minus 6. 8 minus 6 will give me 2. Then I move to my hundreds column, and I have 8 minus 7, and that's going to give me 1. I came up with my answer of 125. Now let me check by re-adding to make sure that that's the correct answer. Remember, this means I'm going to take my answer plus whatever I was subtracting and see if it equals what I have subtracted from. Alright, so I took 125 to be added and put it right there. And I took 765 to be added and I put it right there. And when I add, I start at my ones column and I have 5 plus 5. That equals 10, so I'll write the 0 here and carry the 1 over to the tens column. Since I carried that 1, now I add 1 plus 6 plus 2. That's going to give me 9. Now that I've finished adding my tens column, I move over to the hundreds column. And I have 7 plus 1. That will give me 8. Alright, and we see that I got 890 when I re-added to check. That's the same as what I started with. If I did not get 890, I would know there was either something wrong with the way I did my subtracting in the problem, or something wrong with the way that I checked it. So I'd have to go back and figure out what that problem is. But luckily, we don't have that because it all worked out.